Alright, the haters may be right. More muscle may not make you happy. But before I let them take their victory lap, which I'd envision they do on Segways or something, I have some scientifically backed news for them. So park your Segways and brace yourself. More muscle does seem to make you less sad, which, based on how many people are dealing with chronic depression compared to chronic happiness, is probably more useful. Here's how it does it. Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftingbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Today we're talking about why less muscle on your body is equivalent to Bobby Boucher not suiting up for the bourbon ball and letting the entire Mud Dog community down, which in non-Waterboy terms translates to likely more depression for one's mind. And I gotta say, I was pretty surprised about the amount of literature there is supporting an association between this variable and outcome. A cross-sectional study published in Affective Disorders, associating muscle mass and strength with depression among US adults. A Mendelian randomization published in BMC Medicines, linking body mass index and inflammation to depression. A meta-analysis of observational studies published in Oxford's Age and Aging, highlighting scarpopenia's association with aging. A systematic review published in Environmental Research and Public Health, connecting muscular strength with depressive symptoms in adults. And the most recent one which caught my eye, a cross-sectional study published in Brain and Behavior, linking low muscle mass with increased risk of depressive symptoms among older Chinese individuals. But all of these are just a few of what seems like many on this topic, which got me thinking, why? Why does this connection seem so consistent and prevalent? I mean, could it have something to do with the hours of flexing and self-appreciating in the mirror? Maybe, but if so, it's probably a little further down on the list. Because, ironically, many people who have muscles often battle the self-depiction that said muscles aren't big, peaky, or defined enough. So there's gotta be something else behind this magic, right? Well, to answer that, it may be worth learning a little more about the problem and asking, what exactly is this depression thing? You know, that down in the dumps, mentally fogged, physically fatigued, unmotivated, feeling like complete and total garbage feeling? Yeah, we've all been there at some point or another. With the X factor determining whether it's just a bad day or something more serious, being one's ability to break through the episode and get back to their functional baseline. It's when these symptoms become your baseline for periods ranging from weeks to years, the official diagnosis of depression is made. A diagnosis which unfortunately is anything but rare, as it affects over 200 million people and growing worldwide, with the most depressive part of the condition being the fact that there is no clear single answer to how it operates at the biological level. Yeah, total buzzkill, I know. That being said, there are a few common happenings which tend to accompany this condition, including imbalance of hormones and neurotransmitters, chronic inflammation, specific gene predispositions, emotional, lifestyle, and environmental factors such as stress, anxiety, and trauma, poor lifestyle habits like an ultra-processed diet, extreme sedentary behavior, lack of nature, and impaired sleep, underlying metabolic dysfunction, or impaired biological functions due to a mix and match of conditions and diseases, often driven by many of the factors just mentioned, and interestingly, a suspicious absence of skeletal muscle. So, since it's the reason we're all here, let's double click and see if we can figure out why. And it seems like one of the main reasons is the fact that the muscle itself is getting a little help from the necessary prerequisite for its creation, movement. As the underlying drivers which seem to explain this association are both the acute biochemical response to exercise and the long-term metabolic benefits that the resulting skeletal muscle brings to the table. Let me explain. Starting with the biochemistry. Every time you move your badonkadonk in an intentional and methodical way, it triggers the release of bioactive compounds such as myokines, endorphins, and neurotrophic factors, which have been observed to enhance neurotransmitter availability and metabolism, including for feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin, ramp up neuroplasticity, or the ability for the brain to make new and strengthen existing connections, while significantly increasing the blood flow of nutrients and oxygen to the cranial cabinet, thus resulting in an often immediate experience of enhanced mood, reduced pain, and elevated focus. Kind of the opposite of depressive symptoms, no? That being said, the most powerful and impactful effect that exercise may have is the flurry of anti-inflammatory cytokines which get secreted when you do it, something that having more muscle can enhance. Why do I coin this the potentially most powerful effect, you ask? Well, because one of the most consistent themes we see across the majority of depressive conditions is the presence of chronic inflammation in the brain and throughout the body. In fact, we did an entire breakdown on this connection here, only reinforcing why I call low-dose chronic inflammation longevity liability numero uno. Continuing on our list of mechanisms, more muscle has also been associated with better hormone balance, specifically with the likes of testosterone and cortisol, reflecting a more relaxed and more motivated mood. And we cannot forget the profound metabolic effects of the exercise-muscle dynamic either, as exercise improves mitochondria function and strengthens their quality across the board, being a potent stimulator of mitophagy, or the in-house recycling mechanism which cleans up the weak, leaky, and inflammatory mitochondria, keeping the cells healthy and insulin sensitive, while muscle acts as a glucose sink for the body, dramatically improving blood sugar control and reducing the overall risk for diabetes, another condition associated with impaired 5-pound mushy membrane function. Then there's the all-important sleep, which, as we know from the How to Sleep playlist, is tightly associated with every single biological function and system that we have, which makes it no surprise that chronically impaired sleep is both a risk factor and a symptom of depression. Good thing daily exercise and better metabolic function is associated with better sleep quality, huh? Lastly, we have the very important and often overlooked factor which really applies to people later in life, and that's the ability to do things. Physical things, aka being functional. Something that being strong, stable, and capable is a necessity for, as functional decline has been linked to increased feelings of helplessness, which, as you can imagine, is a factor that contributes to depression. So, the only way that you could truly avoid this is by living a life that promotes a strong structural self. And a lot of people don't realize that the gradual loss of muscle mass begins in one's 30s and 40s. And the only way for you not to lose it is to use it. Yeah. The old adage was right. So at this point, as you've probably noticed, there's a common theme. The theme that owning your health through lifestyle is a net positive and potential necessity to fend off and defeat the depressive boogeyman. I like to think of it as making it biochemically harder to become depressed through owning your health. Not to say you'll never feel a little blue or down in the dumps. That's just one of the normal experiences of life. And instead of being scared of it, I encourage you to appreciate and acknowledge it. As crazy as that might sound, because without feeling the feels every once in a while, you'd never truly appreciate the good vibes, which you're going to be upregulating a whole lot more because you're going to be prioritizing real whole nourishing foods, spending more time outside interacting with nature, moving your ass, building that muscle, and as a byproduct, getting better sleep. AKA creating a positive feedback loop of efficient cellular and metabolic operations, resulting in good vibes, a clear mind, and a higher propensity to make good decisions which promote more efficient cellular and metabolic operations. Yeah, depression's worst nightmare, simply because it's cellular and metabolic dysfunction's worst nightmare. All that being said, what I just went through is the perfect end state, and the reality is life usually isn't perfect. Shit happens, and mental ruts can get deep. So if you're dealing with depression or in some sort of depressive episode, it probably isn't going to be a simple feat to magically change your lifestyle overnight. I get it. It takes motivation to embark, discipline to continue, a plan to stay the course, and perseverance to, well, persevere. So if you want some more info here, check out these 2 videos, which I will link in the show notes below, diving into more tactical ways to de-depress yourself and add more movement into your life, venturing deeper into the cellular dysfunction depression connection, and how to leverage strategies like habit stacking to build muscle without feeling like you're actually working out. That being said, unfortunately, like all good things in life, there is no "that was easy" button. However, there is a "holy shit, I can't believe I could have been feeling effing awesome this whole time" button. And owning your health is the only way to push it. So make the intentional choice to get going or keep going. And when in doubt, remember, I think he said, muscle makes you feel less sad. Yeah, we'll go with that. Good moving.